What's up, guys? Our Wrestling Podcast back at you with another episode. I can start over. Sorry, what was that? Woo. You know what it was? Like you told me, like I have a sexy bitch.
Don't blind. Don't.
I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna go, and I fucked it all up.
In 3, 2.
What's up, guys? Our Wrestling Podcast back at you with another episode. This is Dave Vicious along with Jess the Total Package, Craig the British Bulldog, Joe and Cuz are out this week, bringing you our perspective on the world of professional wrestling. No inside sources, no ties to the industry, just stories from the diehards, sharing opinions with you. Can someone feed me today's topic?
Dave, we're doing the review, the 34th anniversary of the February 5, 1988 main event, the first ever main event primetime special on NBC from the WWE. Record-setting event, lots to talk about here. Lots.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Craig, are you excited?
I'm just still a bit stunned to hear 34 years. Like, you realize I knew it was 1988, but 34 years. We're talking junior high. I remember watching it. I remember being fully invested in this. Again, get off my lawn. I'm old. 34 years.
For audio fans, give us a listen on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and Google Podcast, or watch our videos on YouTube at Our Wrestling Channel. Can you do us a solid on social media and give us a follow on Instagram or Twitter at O.W.P 2019, or catch us on Facebook/Meta at Our Wrestling Podcast. Jess, why are we doing this?
34 years, baby cakes. 34 years.
Did you just call me baby cakes?
I called you baby cakes.
It worked.
34 years. It's a little shorter.
I'm not gonna lie.
There's only 3 matches on this card. However,
Yes.
there's so many records that were made by this event that still stand to this day, and I think we should talk about it. This is the primetime special, like I said, NBC, 8 p.m. Friday night. The main event, different from Saturday night's main event, which was always pre-taped and always aired in the Saturday Night Live spot. Whenever Saturday Night Live was not on the air that week, they would air Saturday Night's main event. But this was the live primetime special.
In fact,
the
rematch
of Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant from WrestleMania 3.
In fact, the production company was once a month productions, and I don't know whether that was like an Ebersol McMahon kind of thing or whoever produced it, but it was because it started with doing the off week of when Saturday Night Live was not doing their 1 week a month kind of thing, and then this was the primetime special, but has the fingerprints of NBC, who had say in the production, and Ebersol with McMahon, and we'll talk about that. And then I think you've talked about it in the past in your Saturday Night's Main Event and history of that. But this is a very, very special night in wrestling history.
Yeah, this is at Market Square Arena in Indianapolis, Indiana. There is obviously no buy rate because this is on national television.
Let's talk about the rating, Dave. It's
Tell me.
33 million viewers.
Yep. 33 million viewers. I also couldn't find the attendance. That was a little tough. Did you catch that one, Jess, by the way?
I
know it's sold out.
I want to say it's funny. We'll go. The live broadcast drew a 15.2 Nelson rating, which is 15.2 million households and a 33 million viewer. Both records for American televised wrestling that still stands to this day.
It'll never be broken.
I want to say there was like 16 to 18,000. They actually did not sell the building out.
Really? I did not know
Bruce
that.
Pritchard on his podcast, because Conrad's like, how the fuck in 1988, when everything sold out, how do you not sell it? And Bruce was like, I don't know. Like, we might have bought up a lot of tickets and not given them out. That could happen too. But it was only like a shy of like 2 or 1,000 or 2 of a sellout. It was
you can also argue it's Indiana, bro. It's not like...
But it's where the Pacers played. Heart of
it was very, very close
Midwest.
to a sellout, but they were shy like 1,000 or 2,000 seats or something like that. It was weird. It's weird that it didn't sell out. Look at your picture, Dave, behind Andre.
No, yeah, you don't.
Those are the only empty seats in the arena. Everything else around it is totally full and packed.
It's like that one block right there.
Yeah, for some. I mean, obviously they sold the tickets on purpose and they quarantined that little pun intended, quarantine.
Wait.
It's really, really weird that they couldn't sell it out. I don't know why. I have no idea why. I think maybe scalpers or something, or I don't know. Maybe
Market Square Arena had a capacity of 16,500 for basketball. So you plus that, plus some on the floor. So take 2,000. You're talking 15 to 16,000 people probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a great house. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
And the ratings, obviously, we just said, a record that stands to this day. And it was a major, major smashing success for NBC, for sure.
And this is a Vince McMahon announced event along with Jesse the Body Ventura. As always, Howard Finkel the Fink is on the mic announcing our matches for us. We start off with a bit of a
David.
Yep.
David.
Yes.
Aren't you going to ask me a question?
I think so. I heard something about that. You know every one of these interviews.
Well, no, that's not it. There's
what-
another promotion that has champions. I don't know why.
Oh my! I'm so sorry. My goodness, Jess, who are the champions of the other federation?
National Wrestling
The
Alliance.
Federation actually has not quite sold to Turner yet, so it's still technically the NWA Jim Crockett
Alliance.
promotion.
So far back.
TV time
This
remaining.
is February 5 in 1988. Ric Flair was the NWA Heavyweight Champion.
Ric
Rhodes.
Flair.
Dusty Rhodes was
Baby.
the NWA United States Heavyweight Champion.
We're not in
Mike
the polka dots yet. Yeah,
Rotundo,
that's right.
everybody knows Mike Rotundo as IRS. He was the NWA, television champion.
Yeah.
And the NWA Tag Team Champions
Road Warriors.
are Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard,
Bullshit,
part of
it's
the
Road
Four
Warriors.
Horsemen.
Stupid. You're stupid.
That is what's going on in the other program.
So stupid. You can almost tell like something's off here. The send is off when you roll into this Hogan montage, and they are gushing over Hogan and his workout regimen here, what he's doing. Vince is like, look at that. There's a lot of things going on where you're like,
that was
something
weird.
smells.
Well, first of all, so they start with, as the main events usually do, is a very slickly produced green screen, chroma key kind of promos in the beginning, right?
Yep.
Where they have the wrestler and they have nice backgrounds with who they are. So you're telling a national television audience who this wrestler is, and then very slickly produced. And they do like four, I think, the top four guys.
It's the main
for
marquee matches for the night.
Yes. Which is always a really great, you add that plus the music, like, and I think these were like Ebersol touches. I could be wrong, like adding a sense of urgency to the night because you're catering to a mainstream audience. And little known fact, Dave, you alluded to it earlier, but Jess as a child, I love this about him. I want to hug young Jess. Memorized these and always remembered these main event promos and can tell them verbatim by heart. And so we set a challenge before this if we threw one of the four.
So
four
everybody
promos.
knows Saturday Night's Main Event. They started out with like these rapid fire promos from the feature match or whatever, and it's got that classic like Saturday Night's Main Event music under it. And Macho Man started out, and I'm going to do the best I can because it's been a long time. This is my fandom.
You've got
when
it.
I first became a wrestling fan, I was only a wrestling fan about 2 months or so before this event. So I was really fresh. I watched this event. I taped it when it was on NBC, and I watched this event over and over. I probably watched this event like 50 times, and I'm not even like joking about that.
Yeah.
And so it starts out with Macho Man, Randy Savage, and Elizabeth, and Macho Man goes, freak out, freak out. I'm the Macho Man, Randy Savage, and this is the bravest manager to ever get in the wrestling ring. My manager, the lovely Elizabeth. Oh, yeah. And you all saw that greasy bully honky tonk man strike her down. Well, tonight he goes down, and I'm going to send him on the first bus back to Disgraceland. Yeah. Cut right, Elvis. One-way ticket. Yeah. What a whiner that Macho Man is. He couldn't keep his belt. He couldn't keep his woman satisfied. You all saw her go head over heels over me. And he was a lousy tune-up for my guitar. Well, Honky, he's a very lucky man. How so, Jimmy? He's very lucky. You don't play the piano. And then they go. That was,
I can hear heart.
Honky
I
and
can hear
Macho Man.
heart.
It's not very good. I think I might have missed a couple words, but I memorized it.
I'm sure it was perfect.
Yeah.
That was that was not rehearsed. We knew that he could do that, and we
if I can find that
unprompted.
promo,
Well
I'll
done.
play it right after I do mine.
Challenge him on the spot. Oh, you can get it. It's totally available.
I'm the Macho Man, Randy Savage, and this is the bravest woman ever to enter a wrestling ring, my manager, the lovely Elizabeth. Yeah, and you all saw that greasy bully honky-tonk man strike her down. Well, tonight he goes down, and I'm going to send the honky-tonk man on the first bus back to Disgraceland. Yeah, cut rate, Elvis, one-way ticket, yeah.
What a whiner that Macho Man is. He couldn't keep this belt. He can't keep his woman satisfied. You all saw her fall head over heels over me. And he was a lousy tune-up for my guitar.
But you know, he's a very lucky man.
How so, Jimmy?
He's very lucky you don't play the piano.
Then we get into the actual
Well done, Jess.
vignettes. Yeah, great job. And it's literally Honky, Honky and then Macho coming in with their vignettes right before the match starts. And the one thing that I remember, I don't know why, but Honky called Mean Gene Okerlund Green Bean.
Yeah.
He's like, well, let me tell you something, Green Bean. Like, I'm what?
So you're no journalist, Green Bean.
That's right.
You're missing the story here. The
That's right.
lovely Elizabeth. We know. See, I memorized all this too.
Yeah.
She's head over heels, right?
Yeah. It is really good. It's really funny.
And didn't you get the sense that those promos were not like a lot of the wrestlers at that point were doing them off the cuff? These, because it was national network TV, I got the sense that Honky's written verbatim. A lot of like the Elvis songs,
in the books leading up to it, talking about this. NBC scripted all this. They wanted every promo scripted.
Yeah.
So it's funny that nowadays we bitch about scripting now, but like back here for the NBC specials, they scripted everything. They wanted everything streamlined.
Best thing they could have done, because they did it, and when they did it naturally, like Honky's was perfect. That little Elvis alliterations in the songs and stuff was gold. All of them were gold.
Yeah.
Like the only the
I'm gonna
shitty
take her
part,
down a lonely street to the Heartbreak Hotel, and Jimmy's all like giggling.
and then the only thing I
won't be
don't understand,
cruel.
and Dave said it earlier, is they did a 2-minute long vignette of Hogan just working out to porno music, which
Jake
could have
the Snakes. It was Jake's theme music.
Yes, it was Jake's theme music.
They hadn't given Jake the Snake theme music yet, and this would become his theme music. So this primetime special, there was 3 matches, all 3 title matches. Randy Savage challenging the Honky Tonk Man for the Intercontinental Championship. Andre the Giant challenging Hulk Hogan for the World Wrestling Federation Championship. And the Hart Foundation challenging Strike Force, who had just won the titles like 4 months earlier or 2 months earlier, challenging Strike Force for the WWF Tag Team titles. Those are the 3 matches. But there was a full card here before they went live on NBC. And Axe defeated Ken Patera in 9 minutes, 6 seconds, which is weird. That Axe beat poor Ken Patera.
Axe working singles. Okay.
Yeah. Jake Roberts defeated Harley Race, 11 minutes, 21 seconds. Ron Bass defeated Coco Beware, 6 minutes, 33 seconds. The British Bulldog, David Boy Smith and Dynamite Kid defeated the Islanders, 13 minutes and 42 seconds. Jim Duggan defeated the One Man Gang, 5 minutes, 55 seconds. And the Ultimate Warrior defeated Sika in 4 minutes and 1 second.
Can you watch those anywhere? Because I bet they were recording them.
I don't think they ever released those. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. And then they go live with the first match that we're going to get into right now, Dave.
Yeah. Before we do, you got Macho speaking entirely for Liz on his little vignette. Craig was talking about how much that Liz is in this environment of please don't hurt me kind of thing. It's a very controlling relationship, something that would never air today.
Dave, at the end of this match, you saw Macho Man grow as a human being.
All right, if you say so.
Okay.
But
wait, what?
Well, what? Then, like I said, we get into match number 1. Macho Man Randy Savage is facing on the Intercontinental Champion Honky Tonk Man. We have Sensational Sherry, but she's not Sensational Sherry. She's actually Peggy Sue.
Spoiler.
In this, as she comes down as supposedly, I find this fascinating that she is supposedly Honky's girlfriend here.
Yeah.
But Honky is totally enamored with Liz this entire time.
You have an open relationship. I don't want to talk about it, and I don't know why you have a problem with it.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's 1988. I don't know. It seems weird, but.
Oh, my! You hear it? The Honky Tonk Man is on his way. You know. Scheduled for one fall. Approaching the ring, led by his manager, from over the side, Colonel Jimmy Hart, from Memphis, Tennessee, weighing 247 pounds. Here is the Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion, the Honky Tonk Man.
I enjoyed the match. I didn't take crazy amount of notes here. I think to your point, just like the vignettes, these are very controlled. The moves are very deliberate and timed to get ready for the big event that they're trying to get to set off essentially WrestleMania 4 and other items. I think it's not to totally put the lead ahead. It's kind of hard to believe that we're only a few months from Macho Man becoming world champion here. I mean, it's fascinating to think about.
This was the blow off match for the Honky and Savage feud, and then Macho Man on to bigger and better things.
Yeah, it's incredible, and
that's why he was put on this special to see what the crowd, how they would react, and they went bonkers for him.
Yeah. So
the crowd was on fire for Savage.
Yeah, they were on fire for Savage. They loved him, and like I said, you see the growth at the end of the match with him and Elizabeth to kind of to turn that face and go. And I gave it a solid B. I enjoyed the match; it was fun, but it wasn't totally about that yet. It's about the next match that we're going to get into, right?
Yeah, I agree with you, Dave. Everything about this, even though it did look natural, everything did flow well, was produced very, very slickly for this special and NBC. And we do know that Randall Poffo liked to rehearse his matches move to move anyway. But I think every single camera shot here and everything was scripted with little room for error, I think, if I'm just looking at it as an observer and from what I know and read. But Honky, the perfect heel, a good match, intense, and that Elizabeth kind of putting him up on the shoulder at the very end, like sent everybody home happy. And I think they were all done by in 13 minutes in. It was well done and a good setup for what was coming next. And they only, by the way, Main Event, this whole thing was only an hour, right? So it's like no time to mess around at all. You've already had 3 minutes of Hulk. You've already had the promos. You've had the Vince and Ventura beginning. You've probably had a couple commercial breaks, and this was the first kind of sense of action, and it was good. I mean, Scott Savage is so good, and he looks good, and he's tanned. Elizabeth is beautiful, and you fall in love with her just by looking at her. And 33 million people probably fell in love looking at her, even if you hadn't seen her before. You wanted to be her friend. It was good.
What was your grade?
B.
And I think Honky looked good too. He did his job.
He did a great job
as the greatest Intercontinental Champion ever.
I agree.
Match was 8 minutes 20 seconds. Like I give it a B-, and that's not a negative thing. It was very sleekly produced, like Craig said, and it was designed to test the waters to see if Macho Man could garner the support of the crowd. This particular crowd here was huge. They were really into Macho Man.
Yeah, they were
and Macho Man won by DQ here or whatever, so it wasn't like a title change or anything like that. So I give it a B- because they did what they were supposed to on one of the hottest shows in the history of professional wrestling. And then, like Dave said, we all are here for the next match.
Yeah. I mean, if you just tuned in between Honky's promo, Savage's promo at the very, very beginning, and whatever little vignette, you got whatever you needed to get of why these two fucking hate each other. Like, as a average fan and just walking in off the street, turning on NBC at 8:00 on a Friday night, they told the story of what you needed to get invested in it, and they did the job.
Yeah,
it was good.
Absolutely. Before we get into the second match, we had some Silverdome footage where they're looking at it, and you get a lot of hearsay of like, hey, Hogan, it's possible he really never really won that match. That should have been a 3 count from the get. When we talk about it, they go back to the footage where Hogan tries to slam Andre at WrestleMania 3 right away.
Well, Jess is on record of saying 1 million times that Andre did pin Hogan at WrestleMania 3, and it should continue.
Oh, absolutely. 1, 2, 3. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And we get capped with additional footage there. And then we roll to Mean Gene Okerlund with Andre the Giant, Virgil, and the $1 Million Man talking about what's going to happen. Jess, take it away. Sorry. Put it right on.
Now, I don't remember this interview, to be honest.
Yeah. It's
I used to.
It's not that great. And then obviously we roll to Hogan and Gene right after that.
Interesting note right here. The belt that Hogan is wearing is the belt that he wore for most of 86 and 87. When he comes out to the ring, he's the first person to ever wear the Winged Eagle belt.
I literally have it in my notes. I got Andre versus Hogan. I said, Jess, did the belt change here when he comes out?
Yes. Hogan did the pre-interview with the old belt, and for some odd reason, they gave him the Winged Eagle belt. I would think that they would save the Winged Eagle for the winner of WrestleMania 4. I don't know why they put it on Hogan here. I have no idea why. So maybe a belt expert can chime in or whatever. But yes, in this interview with Gene Okerlund, which is pre-taped, by the way, Hogan was wearing the normal 86, 87 belt that he wore.
That seems
and then,
so sloppy. If you're still pre-taping
Yeah.
it that day or that
and this
night
is a live,
at
this is a
the
live
arena,
event. And then when
Yeah.
Hogan comes out live to the arena, he's the first wrestler to ever wear the winged eagle
The
that's
winged
on
eagle.
Andre's shoulder behind Dave.
And it's
Hulk
on his
Hogan
shoulder
was
here,
the
yeah.
first guy to wear
Yeah.
it. Why they wouldn't save it for WrestleMania, because that was the brand new champion after we talk about the controversy of this match, I don't know. I have no
or
idea why
even
they put it.
acknowledge it. Acknowledge the
I
new
would.
belt.
I only have one.
I never
argument,
picked up
and
on that at all.
I only have one argument, and it's weak. That it's another test to see, are people going to falter on it? Are people going to give it a hard time? Like what I like the old belt better. Like, is there any kind of outcry when he
Maybe.
comes out
Maybe.
with it? But yeah, here we go. We've got match number 2. Our world champion Hulk Hogan wrestles Andre the Giant in their final rematch.
I'm Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man. And this is the one and only true heavyweight champion of the world, Andre the Giant. Hulk Hogan may wear the belt for now, but after tonight, that belt will fit as easily around Andre's waist as the Giant's hands fit around Hogan's neck.
Hogan, it felt so good. I can't wait to do it again. And again. And again.
When that big nasty giant snuck up behind me and put his filthy hands around my neck, I knew I was fighting for my life. Thousands of miles away, Hulkamaniacs couldn't breathe either. That's why tonight, when I step in the ring with Andre the Giant, the thoughts and the prayers of all those Hulkamaniacs that stood with me through the hard times are gonna go in the ring with me. And Andre the Giant, with all that on my side, Hulkamania will never die.
Mano a mano for the World Wrestling Federation Championship. Look, I have a hard time grading this in the realm of what the match was like. I give the whole thing an A just for the story alone. The match doesn't matter. When I talk about the work of it, what matters is how they built it to go and how Andre literally, I mean, Hogan's kind of taking advantage of him for a bit, and basically Andre just kind of does I don't know, like a carry slam. He just kind of underhooks him and takes him to the ground.
Since Andre did like a weird, like a side suplex, he put him in a front face lock, and then he just rolled him to the side.
Yeah, and it wasn't even that big of a deal. And then we get into this amazing story from this point forward. The slam doesn't even matter. It's just getting Hogan to the floor and seeing what happens from there. But I give it an A for story. And what I'd like to do is Craig, if you can go, and then we'll let Jess kind of lay this out for us, because I don't know if anybody can lay it out better as far as the events that take hold after this.
Yes, indeed. There could be a body slam or two here. Here comes Andre. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Hulkster is just uptight. I mean, he is really ready for this.
That can work against you.
How so?
I like the Giant style. He stayed cool. He stayed calm. Hogan's been in total turmoil.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Andre and Hogan never had 5-star matches, obviously.
like that.
They can't. They're not capable of it. But it doesn't matter. Like, it's gauging the crowd, it's the build up, it's the momentum. You have 33 million people watching at home. A lot of these people aren't diehard wrestling fans anyway. A lot of people are just kind of tuning in. And yet they, whether you're a wrestling fan or not, to see the ending of this match, which, spoiler alert, involves 2 employees with WWF at the time, which are twins, and to then finally cash in that card as McMahon did with having Dave and Earl Hebner come in and evil twin referees as the gimmick. And Hogan says later, how much for the plastic surgery, brother? I don't think they knew quite where they were going to go. And little Krager in junior high was beside himself. He fucking bought into this 1000%.
Hook, line, and
his
sinker,
mind exploded. He didn't understand why there were 2 referees, and it's the most perfect, most visceral response I've ever had. And I remember watching it. you can't explain it 34 years later. You had to watch it. Now when you look back, you're like, of course they were twins and they both worked the house shows or whatever, twins. It's that simple. But the fact they cashed in using these guys in the ending, and for Hogan to lose it after so long, which you never thought he'd ever do, it was such a momentous, groundbreaking, like insane ending. And I just feel sorry for like the next 8 minutes after this when they had to have like a rest of a match and another thing. But it was just so incredibly done. And another chapter in the Andre Hogan feud, and McMahon really saved a few cards and saved something very, very special for this kind of gimmick and how this ended. It was
before Jess jumps into it too, Craig, I agree. I think about this. I'm like, he wanted to pull this card probably so many times. I'm gonna pull this card where I have identical referees, and it's gonna. But he probably just, I can't do it yet. I can't do it. And when you know you have a potential of over 30 million people watching, well, you damn well better pull that card at that point. And there's not a better time to do that on national television in front of the world. To see that happen. And to your point, we as kids were like, oh my God, what is happening? So, Jess, what do you got, man? Lay it out for us.
He had him from behind. Andre now, but maybe Lady Luck riding on his shoulders here tonight.
One headbutt. A second headbutt.
Andre spins a holster around. Suplex right on top of him.
He's on him.
One. We get a two. That's it.
He got him. He got him.
No, he didn't.
The referee counted 3. We've got a new world champion.
No, we don't either.
I told it, McMahon. I told you. I told the world.
Hulk Hogan had been champion for 4 years.
Yep.
He was the reason why Vince, after buying the company from his dad, was able to take it to a mainstream, and they crashed through all the barriers. This simply came to an end because Hogan wanted to leave for a while and film No Holds Barred.
That's right.
That's really what happened.
That's what happened.
And so after 4 years, they finally did it. Andre, of all people, because Andre did the favors for Hogan at WrestleMania 3 and lost to him and got slammed by him. And then they held on to that controversy of that almost 3 count. They do their rematch here. 33 million viewers, for fuck's sake. I give the match a C because Andre was worse than he was at Mania 3, which was almost a year earlier.
Yeah.
Hogan did everything he could. Hogan's not Mr. fucking wrestler, you know. He's an entertainer. He's
better than people think, though.
He is better than people think, but he plays to the crowd and everything.
Sure.
And the end of this match saw Andre grabbing him, headbutting him from behind, doing a side suplex. The referee counts 1. Hogan clearly puts his shoulders up. The referee counts 2 and 3. And Andre the Giant is the new World Wrestling Federation Heavyweight Champion, ending Hulk Hogan's 4-year reign.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of this bout.
No.
And new World Wrestling Federation Heavyweight Champion, Andre the Giant.
That can't be. There he is, the new World Heavyweight Champion. The myth of Hulk Hogan's over.
Wherever you are, the new World Wrestling Heavyweight Champion.
This is no surprise. I told you I was going to win the World Tag Team Championship. And now, I surrender the World Tag Team Championship to Ted DiBiase.
Wait a minute. Hold on, Andre. What are you saying? You surrender the title to Ted DiBiase.
And this is the new
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Hell yeah.
And so you're stunned for a second watching that, and you're questioning yourself, and you're like, dude, he had his shoulder up. Hogan had his shoulder up. Why the fuck is the referee not acknowledging it? What is happening right now? Vince McMahon's even saying that. Ventura's like,
This
no
is
way
the
it's over.
NFL, Vince. There is no instant replay.
So and it
That's a
happened
great
so
line.
fast that you're just like, what the fuck happened? Did Hogan really get pinned? I remember the 10-year-old Jess going, I think he just got pinned. Like, but you knew in your mind, like, no bullshit. He put his shoulder up. His shoulder was up. Like, so you couldn't understand why
I swear that's exactly what we're all
everyone in
saying
the
when
ring
we
was
watch this.
acting like it was over. But I give the storyline, like Dave said, an A fucking plus, because after this, Andre surrenders the title to Ted DiBiase, which is what Ted DiBiase bought Andre to do. So he puts the belt around Ted DiBiase. Ted DiBiase thinks he's the world heavyweight champion. We'll find out a couple weeks later that Jack Tunney says no. Andre was an official world champion, but when he surrendered it, you cannot surrender it to another person. You actually surrender it to the company. So Andre surrendered it to the company at that point. So Andre is a legit former WWF heavyweight champion, but DiBiase is not. So that sets up the tournament for WrestleMania 4. But this whole thing, so all this happens. Andre puts the title on DiBiase. They're celebrating. They're walking around the outside of the ring. Hogan's pointing down and yelling at them. He turns around and sees the referee that counted the 3, and then another referee that looks exactly like him fighting with each other.
Over to figure out which the official referee assigned was a man by the name of Dave Hebner. I can't believe we're looking at 2 Dave Hebners. What's going on here?
There's 2
Come on,
Dave
Jesse.
Hebners.
What's going on? The Hulk is trying to find out who the real Dave Hebner is.
That's when Vince and Ventura are like, there's 2 Dave Hebners. What the hell is going on? So Hogan does the whole thing. One Dave Hebner decks the other one. Then Hogan says, you've got to be the fake
terrible
one.
punches and kicks, by the way, but it does not matter.
Yeah. So Hogan punches at the other one and goes, you got to be the fake one. Picks him up, throws him, presses him over his head like the Warrior, throws him outside the ring. He barely hits DiBiase and Virgil's head, and Andre doesn't even attempt to catch him, by the way. And Hebner falls like a sack of shit on the concrete floor. It's Dave Hebner, one of the Hebners, I don't know who it was, almost died.
He's dead.
Almost died. Yeah. And so then they go to a commercial. Vince is like, we'll be back. So like the whole thing happens. Hogan loses the belt. He's done. Like,
they come back.
Andre
the coroner
wins.
is putting Earl Hebner on the gurney. Investigation.
His twin brother is putting the other twin brother on the gurney.
How could he not be an official? Hulk Hogan. And I don't know whether. Oh, wait a minute. Coming back. Oh, look at this. Whoever that man is, he's high above the air. The Hulkster knows. Look out. Oh. We'll be back with more of the main event and more World Wrestling Federation action.
So they come back and they do a whole thing. I'm sure Dave will talk about it here, where they interview DiBiase and they interview Hogan, and like, they're all trying to figure out this confusion.
Tears. Hogan is crying when they come back.
Hogan's literally crying. How much
I
money
see the
did they
$100
spend
bills falling out
on
of
the
his
plastic
pockets,
surgery?
brother.
When I turned around, Mean Gene, they were identical. Identical. Like
$100 bills out of the pockets because they're showing the replay of the cat.
How much for the plastic surgery, brother?
Hulkamaniacs. Oh God, and he's crying to the Hulkamaniacs.
But it's perfection. It's camp, but it's perfection.
Yes,
he's
amazing.
so
like it's a whole thing. So Hulk Hogan loses the title. Like I said, C+ or C for the match, whatever I gave it.
Sure.
For this sets up WrestleMania 4, the tournament. It sets up everything. It's one of the greatest storylines in wrestling history.
Sorry, Jess. What?
I think we've all seen moments where we've been with families and people who aren't wrestling fans, and mostly this happens in WrestleMania when you have like house parties and things, and girlfriends and wives and family members and watching, and you're like, "Who is this? Is that Junkyard Dog? Who is wrestling?"
I've
and
heard
then you try to show these
him in
mainstream people.
Landville.
But this was a thing where like it must have been so easy, no matter who you were, to be sucked in to like. You're like, why is there 2 of the same person in the ring?
That's why they did this primetime special.
And it's good. It's very cut and dry, good and
it's amazing
evil.
Television.
You can watch Hulk Hogan for 10 seconds and realize he's America. I love this guy. I love the cut of that guy's jib. He gets it.
I'm a real
He
American,
is him.
my friend.
That
I
guy
like
from
Macho
France,
Man because you know what? He finally realized that his woman makes him. So I'm glad.
right.
I'm glad that happened.
She knows
because
her place.
My woman, I love my woman, and she makes me.
I'm
So
going to lift
there
her
you
and put
go.
her on my shoulder. She is
So-
going to smile. That is what is going to happen.
So, Jess, while you bounce for a few seconds, I was saying the only storyline that I think is better is the Mega Powers Explode kind of storyline.
I agree. I 100% agree with that. And by the way, the second main event ever, the main event primetime special, was the explosion of the Mega Powers.
Jealous
So-
eyes.
That's the
Jealous
thing.
eyes.
So think about it like this. So
So,
As
and by
soon
the
as-
way, that story, Dave, started right here.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I was gonna say. So
Yeah.
as soon as Hogan said, "I'm gonna go make movies, brother," Vince is like, "Okay, here's what we're gonna do," and he laid out the next 2.5 years based on Hogan's wanting to depart and take a break and go make a movie.
Yeah, putting it on Savage, building their friendship,
and then having Hogan come back
Elizabeth
after the
in the
movie and
middle.
win it back.
Yeah,
and have the feud and the jealousy of Miss Elizabeth with Hogan and all that stuff.
What a luxury to
Amazing.
have that time as Vince McMahon back then. At this point in 2022, 34 years later, you cannot book week to week. But back then, Vince said, here's my plan. We've got time. We have house show schedule.
Yeah.
People don't have the internet. We're long-term booking for
I know what the internet
stories.
is. You don't yet, and I'll tell you later.
And then and 34 years later, he rips up the script to Raw every single week when he doesn't like what he sees and changes
And
things
starts
on the
over.
fly when things
But
don't.
by the way, before we get ahead of ourselves, Dave, we have a third match. Do we not?
Yeah, Dave, A+.
Kind of. I mean, we kind of have
Girls
a match
in
for
cars. I like
I mean,
girls
we
in
have
cars.
we have the world tag team championship match, right? But we see all of what 30 seconds of it.
See you later.
Yeah, they go back and forth. They start the match. It's Strikeforce defending against the Hart Foundation, who are trying to get the
Yes.
tag titles back, and they do a whole thing. And then in the middle of the match, they keep cutting back and forth. The Hogan crying with Gene, back and forth
Yeah.
or whatever. And then finally at the end, Vince McMahon comes back. He's like, "We're out of time." And I just remember Bret Hart pile driving. I want to say it was Rick Martel going for the cover. 1, 2, we'll see you later. And it cuts off. But if you go to Peacock right now, they show the full match, which is only an extra 60 seconds long.
Yeah.
And then Martel gets a roll up on Brett, I think.
If they
and
had
pins him and
another
pins
minute,
Sullivan.
they would have seen like a sunset flip, quick roll up. Yeah.
Yeah, so we can't grade the
Yeah.
match, but Strikeforce did defend. tag
C
titles.
minus. They didn't really space it out. I think probably.
They didn't show me enough. I'm not
We
impressed.
talked about it before we started recording the episode. I mean, literally, they put that match there just in case there was time left after.
You
Hogan,
didn't
Andre,
give
and all
a
this stuff.
shit about that, man. You were still like talking and like panting and like,
It
what the
was
fuck
referee,
just
literally-
happened?
Hogan-
It was literally to
Yeah.
fill the time before like Cheers came on. or
Hogan
whatever
lost
fuck
the
was
belt
coming on
after
next.
4 years.
Yeah.
Twin referees. Is DiBiase champion? What the fuck are we doing right now?
You were still
like that?
screaming at your mom, like, well, I don't understand. And your dad is like, told you it's fake. And then like, and everyone's like, no, they're twins. It's like,
Well,
there's no
what's
plastic
funny
surgery.
about it when you go back and watch it now, you don't until you watch it, you don't even remember that match happened.
No.
To your point, Trey, you are freaking
It was
out.
such a fucking mind fuck, and like
Just
what
a
just
cluster.
happened in my entire world that I've known for the last 4 years of Hogan just is gone and exploded. What is happening? Life has betrayed me.
And there's just a match going on in the background. We'll see you
Yeah.
next time. Yeah.
And I'm like, oh,
Weird.
Bret Hart hit a nice pile driver. That was probably what we got. Oh,
You never
Solid
noticed.
arm drag.
I guarantee
Give
you,
me a take.
Craig, Jess was yelling at somebody and didn't even notice that a pile driver happened. Still mad about Hogan losing. at
Well,
that
we were
time.
going nuts.
And
That's probably
understandably
abusing-
so.
the matches weren't even intended to be, oh my God, 5-star or whatever you want to call it. This was all storyline driven. It was to get
It's all
Macho
moving
Man
the story.
out of the Intercontinental level,
Yep.
ended feud with Honky without hurting Honky, and then ending Hogan's 4-year title reign, and then Macho Man would go on. It's amazing the way everything worked out here. That's why I wanted to talk about it, because like even though it's super short, it's not a 5-star wrestling event. There's no 5-star match on it, but go back and watch this event just for you feel the live energy when you're rewatching it, because they did it
It is
live.
It is
They did it
5-star,
live.
though.
It was the
Just-
first ever live primetime special in our
Yeah.
lifetime.
It is 5-star, but it's 5-star because of the storytelling, not because of the match work.
Right,
That's all
Yes.
it is. So, for audio fans, give us a listen on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and Google Podcasts, or watch our videos on YouTube at Our Wrestling Channel. Can you do us a solid on social media and give us a follow on Instagram or Twitter at OWP2019, or catch us on Facebook/Meta at Our Wrestling Podcast.
Guys, do us a solid.
Do us a solid.
Join
Just
us on
fun.
social. Come on,
Being
guys.
stupid.
We're
Come
nice
on,
guys. We don't
fucking do it.
post naughty stuff. I promise.
It
You know,
is.
like it's all PG. the
Join
kids can
David
watch.
Butterfield's OnlyFans at.
We have
Whoa.
the sleekest.
Other
we have the,
side.
I don't care. We have the sleekest podcast. We try to give you good visuals on YouTube. We put sound clips in. Nobody else does that shit. They just half-ass this stuff. Get fucking
Yeah, they're
get,
like,
get smart
it was good.
and follow us. Stop being stupid. Sorry.
Yeah, there you go. This is Dave, Jess, and Craig with the OWP signing off. Have a good one.